All right, guys. So, play number 3 on this drive. Man, I brought out a couple of defenders for the D line here for a reason. I'm going to show what happens on this play. Not a lot of fault anywhere necessarily. I mean, this is straight going to be on the O line, guys. I mean, I would have liked to maybe. It's hard for me to see the passing routes, on these plays because I don't have all the wide angles and stuff and different angles that they would have pre-production in the studios and things, to where I could see a lot of different things, So like when the coaches get back, they'll have all those angles and they'll better break this stuff down a lot differently than I can. But can't really say, these guys start floating out, when they go out into their route here, So it was Stogner. It was the same package. It was the same guys. You still had Brooks, Lloyd, Brown. Okay, whatnot. Oh, sorry, that's not exactly how the play happened. My bad. Okay, so actually they're in a bunch. Okay, these guys are in a bunch. So this is Stogner and Wells. And then we got Brooks over here, okay? And remember the theme so far on this drive has been Brown in motion, okay? And so Brown was right here, and once again, he goes in motion, all right? Now, here's my critique. We've put Brown in motion now, 3 times on a drive. We haven't handed it off to him or anything. We haven't actually done any kind of jet sweep or anything. Not that we should have been doing it on a 3rd and 6 either, but, what is the purpose of putting Brown in motion, guys, if we're not going to hand it off to him at some point? Once again, I could keep having this argument. Maybe this should be Joyner. But I see how we're trying to utilize Brown, and I get it's like that Jets, looking at it, threaten that jet sweep kind of thing going on and whatnot. So, so let's, set aside my little thing where I think Joyner should be in on some of these plays or something versus Brown. But okay, we're doing it. This is now the 3rd play. He motions over here and he comes to a slot. And these guys are in tight, There's a reason I don't have them like out here, Everybody was in pretty tight to the line here, okay? Now, I will say this. That made things just a little bit more tricky for your O-line, I think, here, because you got a lot of field out here, especially on this play. Like on the left side of this formation, these guys maybe should have definitely been lined up a little wider, just to spread the defense out a little more over there. It just didn't make sense. You had a lot of field over here. It made sense over here because it was the smaller side of the field, but I didn't agree with having them all in tight right there. It just kind of made the formation a lot more clumped together, and it would make it a lot easier for the defense to attack here, because they could show their D-backs and stuff, and I'd have to go back and look if they really did it or not. Could be a little closer in the formation and could show blitz, and throw everything off. There was no blitz on this. Okay, so after Amarian Brown had come out of his bunch and he comes over here and they all go out into a pattern. These guys, all the receivers are out in here, and Lloyd's going to end up over here in the flat. Okay, he's the that dump off pass, your check down. Okay, nobody's really open either. This doesn't help that nobody's open. I felt like maybe Amari and Brown should have been crossing over here, or could have come out from where he was originally instead of motioning. Could have stayed here so they could come on underneath the route over there, so that you have one guy come out here in the flats and another guy coming through and right in front of Spencer, his face, as another potential dump off spot. But Amarian's over here. I don't really know where he ended up on the play. Once again, it's so hard for me to see the angles and stuff. But let's talk about what really happens here on this play. All right. The O-line obviously always is going to create a pocket on a pass play. So he was here, he wasn't blocking, and he was coming out to a pass route, right? Spencer had his little drop back after, and the pocket's forming. But the D-line stunts. Okay, so these guys cross, boom, and that messes up your O-line over here because, when one guy crosses over in front of the other, all right, this guy was thinking, hey, he's going to block that guy, and then he starts running that way, and he's trying to crash that way, and then this guy thought, oh, I'm going to block that guy, and they get all twisted up, and that's what, can create seams for the defense sometimes, right? So basically, they had 4 linemen. Okay, I'd put them out here, but they had 4 down linemen. Okay, at the start of the play, they didn't blitz, but those 4 down linemen did some stunts and created some pressure through our line. They were able to break through our line with just some basic stunt. Guys, stunts are there for a reason. Okay, I say they're basic. It's part of the game. It's a fundamental part of the game, but it's a fundamental part of the game for a reason. When you mix them in at the right times and whatnot, it throws the O-line off. They hadn't shown, we haven't seen where that's really affected them so far. I remember there was one time earlier I had said we had some penetration, and that was to the left side. So something I'm going to keep watching as I'm doing this analysis is if we keep getting penetration faster from our left side, hey, we might be looking at who's the O-lineman over there not doing what they're supposed to do. But remember, like I said earlier, though, there was some penetration that was probably off of a stunt. There was something that happened that allowed an end or something to break free, and I had said that Spencer had needed to move up in the pocket on that play. So that one wasn't necessarily on the O-lineman. Stuff's going to happen. He recovered on the play. He did what he was supposed to do on that play. This play, guys, it's O-line, okay? There might have been an opportunity as these guys were breaking through. If Spencer would have been able to pick it up faster, he might have been able to break out over here. Okay, he might have been able to run a little bit. Once again, we don't want Spencer running too much anyway. Okay, he might have been able to get out that way. He might have been able to get out over here. He ends up throwing a pass over to Marshawn Lloyd's feet and go, oh, that was a bad pass. He didn't really give his guy a chance to make the play. In all honesty, I preferred that pass because he was well covered, and just a sitting duck on that play if he catches it, So it was a bad pass and at a good time, honestly, because everybody, from what I could tell, was covered. He had a lot of pressure coming through. Okay, you don't want intentional grounding. He throws it at Marshawn's feet. Not a bad thing. You'll see Tom Brady do that. I've heard people go, Tom wasn't very accurate that night or something. I would go back and watch his play and be like, Tom was super accurate. He was the defense was so good at that particular moment that he had a small window he could throw it into. So he was either throwing it where only his receiver could catch it, or he was throwing it in places so his receivers didn't get beat up trying to make a play that they just, okay. So Tom, you might not realize Tom's, sometimes it's protecting his receivers, when he's not accurate and things like that. People don't realize that nuance to the game, okay? So I don't really fault Spencer here for that pass. Maybe if he could have picked up the lineman coming through a little bit faster, he might have been able to escape. But they came through fast, guys. They came through like the number 1 defense in the nation. It's that simple. Nobody to blame on this play necessarily. Like I said, maybe if I go back and look at the wide receiver patterns and I could pick up on where those guys were going, maybe Spencer could have had at least one more out or something in the middle here. If you guys get a chance to go back and look at the play, I could be wrong on that, of course, and maybe there was somebody in the middle that Spencer might have missed. But, some of that's also got to be sometimes on the quarterback. They have to call hot routes and stuff, so they have to pick up on blitzing things and stuff like that and call for an audible to a receiver saying, hey, we're not changing the whole play, but I want you to go this direction instead of that direction. So there could be a little bit to Spencer there, but guess what? He didn't miss a blitz read. They didn't blitz. Okay? So, a defense doing a stunt on the line is not, they pretty much know they were going to do that. Probably pre-snap, they know they're doing a stunt, or it's probably a easy thing for them to signal to each other without giving it away, because they're going to line up in their normal position and just do something, at the last second where the play starts and they're going to, switch lanes, 3rd and 6, you're probably looking at a pass play there, so not really a lot of option into trying to run it or whatnot. I don't see any fault with the play calling on this. Just the O-line got beat. I hate to even go, oh, the O-line didn't do their job there. That's going to happen sometimes with a really good defense, guys. But I mean that. Once again, it goes back to that, hey, when we get to Lexington, let's see how that O-line holds up then. We can make this excuse that, hey, this is probably the 2 toughest O-lines we're going to go against all year in Arkansas and Georgia, and, D-lines. It's top, some of the 2 toughest D-lines we're going to go against. I didn't know that Arkansas's D-line was really all that troublesome, so that wasn't really an excuse there, but we know Georgia has one. Let's see how that goes. I want to move forward past this play. Real quick, they do punt, or they go for a fake punt because obviously this was a failed 3rd down attempt in their own territory. It's very aggressive. Agree, disagree with that call. I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit of, hey, this you're not showing you how much faith in your defense, but then, hey, why should you? We're on the verge of having 3 straight scores happening again, just like last week. So, the fake punt works out, okay, and we get the 1st down. So we'll go into the play after the fake punt.